Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. Don't go away because we're going to talk about internet and banking scams with Jeff Richardson with First Security Bank. So we'll be right back. Welcome to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I'm Perry Black, and on this show we have a very, very special guest and a friend of mine. You know, we always want to be transparent. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir.
Jeff Richardson is with First Security Bank.
Yes, sir.
And so today, believe it or not, while we're talking about fostering, mentoring, and adoption, at some point we're going to talk about fraud, internet fraud, preying upon
the elderly,
and how you can avoid that. Being scammed, and how you can help your parents or grandparents as well. But before we do that, Jeff, in this show, we always want to get to know our guest. And since I do know you, and some of the audience may not, tell me a little about you. Tell me a little bit about growing up. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up here in Saline County, and then my family moved to Shreveport, Louisiana. My dad got transferred there. And then
you grew up in Saline County? Did you tell me that once before? I don't think I knew that.
Well, that was that kind of that birth to 9-year-old period. Yeah. Grew up here in that part of it, and then when I was 9, we moved to Louisiana.
But your dad lives in Texas, doesn't he?
Yes. My parents divorced, and my dad ended up in Dallas, and then my mom and I, when I was 15, came back to Little Rock and actually graduated from Little Rock Little Rock Hall.
I graduated Central. Yeah. Don't be taking my stuff, buddy.
Yeah, Little Rock Hall, big rival of Central.
Yeah.
And then in 2011, we moved back, my wife and I moved back to Saline County, and I've been here ever since 2011.
When I met you, Alan Jessup, George Schaefer, and you all came to the church office at Family Church Bryant on 21815 I-30 here in Bryant. Church of Lives Worth the Drive.
That's right.
And I told you that because at that time you were living in Cabot.
Correct.
And your wife comes from a Pentecostal background.
Yes.
You come from a Baptist background.
Correct.
I come from a sinner's background. I was a professional.
That's right.
And y'all were living in Cabot, but hadn't really found a church where both of you felt that it was meeting your needs, right?
Correct.
And I said, well, Jeff, the Church of Lives worth the drive.
Yes.
And you didn't drive.
No.
But then, and we started doing business with the bank you were with at that time.
Correct.
And maybe a year later.
That's about a year and a half.
You came in representing the bank, and I said, hey, Jeff, when are y'all going to move this way? And you looked at me and kind of looked down, and you said, well, we moved here about 6 months ago. Am I right?
That's correct.
And I said, well, where are you going to church? Well, we're not really going anywhere yet. How long ago has that been?
That would have been in 2012, so 11 years ago.
Yeah. And your little baby girl was about 4 or 5 years old?
She was actually about 3 at that point in time. Yeah. She's 14 now. She was 2 or 3 at that time. So.
I was walking through the Family Life Center yesterday at Arkansas Christian Academy right here at 21815 I-30. And she said, hey, Pastor Perry. And I went, oh, she's speaking to me. Because she used to always come up to me in the forward when she was little, but now she's a teenager. And I thought, isn't that sweet? And she said, throw me that ball.
I'm surprised she didn't give you a big hug.
Yeah. Well, I thought that's what she wanted, but instead she just wanted me to throw her the volleyball. Because she plays both volleyball and basketball.
Volleyball and basketball, and she's also on the cheer squad.
Yeah.
That's new this year.
Yeah. I'm not sure I was aware that she was a cheerleader this year.
She's loving it.
You know, our cheerleaders, I remember going, and I call the football games oftentimes, and I see all these elementary girls cheering for our high school football team because we only had like 7 or 8 cheerleaders and they were all really young.
Right.
And now we've just got tremendous cheerleaders at our school, both middle school and high school.
Yes, and they do a great job.
Yeah, they do. And Miss Buck, one of our teachers, and Miss Lyman, I think they head that up. You're also on the Booster Club here at ACA.
Yes.
So
we try to help raise money for the athletic program.
And we're building a new middle school, and we need about $2 million. Can y'all help us out?
We can see what we can do.
But your wife, where does she work?
She works for Arkansas Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
And you've been married with?
It'll be 21 years in January.
In January of 24. Julie's active here in the church, along with your mom.
Yes.
Pat.
And my sister.
And your sister, Shauna. So a lot going on. But you're also very involved at Second Chance Youth Ranch. Aren't you on some planning something another for our annual banquet, which happens every October.
Yes, work with Billy and Rachel Hubbard as far as helping get the ranch banquet moved back into Saline County. We helped get the venue planned and the caterer arranged, and to me that was very rewarding, bringing it back to Saline County.
Yeah.
We had been in Little Rock for a long time, and getting it in Saline County to me was important because the ranch is here, and it kind of draws people here, and the venue that we use is a fantastic venue.
Benton Convention Center.
Benton Event Center, yes.
You know, for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I told Billy and Rachel, why don't we do it out here in Saline County? And they said, well, we don't know if people from Little Rock would drive out here, but we know people in Saline County will drive to Little Rock.
Right.
And I said, well, I don't know. I think we ought to consider doing it here. And then along comes Jeff, and he says, why don't y'all move it out here? Because you were a president of the Benton Chamber?
I was the president of the Benton Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors, and the Benton Chamber manages the Benton Event Center. And so I had a big connection with the individuals that worked at the event center, and then I had some connections with some of the caterers and things that use that venue. And so I kind of partnered everybody up together in one big room in a meeting, and it just took off from there.
And then they come in and said, hey, Jeff thinks we ought to do it at the Benton Event Center. And I said, well, you know, Jeff's real smart. Let's do it.
Well, and I think it's been successful.
So, you know, I learned a long time ago, if you want something done, find the person of influence. And the person of influence can influence people that you can't.
This is true.
Yeah, and so I appreciate your help, helping make me look like I was right again.
Well, you were.
You know, it's like the guy said, I married Mrs. Right. I just didn't know it meant she's right all the time, or something like that. So, what is your involvement other than the advisory part of the annual banquet with the ranch? Have y'all ever had foster kids over the house with Jenna or anything like that?
No, we've done some stuff where we've taken some of the kids to lunch or had events at the church, something along those lines, but we've never really had any at the house. My daughter has had some relationships with some of the kids that have come through the ranch, which has been, we actually talked about that this weekend and how rewarding it was for her to be with these kids that have come from broken homes or in certain situations, to be able to love them and nurture them as a peer, as another child. So she really appreciates that.
Yeah, you know, it's one thing I try to get people to understand is if you come to family church or come to our teens and 20s Wednesday night ministry, our teen camps, our vacation Bible school, you'll never pick out a ranch child.
No.
There's not a label that says I'm a ranch child or I'm in foster care.
No.
They're just children, like all children, that want to be loved, nurtured, cared for, encouraged, affirmed, noticed.
Right. What I will say is they're some of the most appreciative, though.
Yeah, well, yeah, because they recognize where they've come from and what opportunities are being given. Yet they're still children. So we're going to come back here in just a moment with Jeff, and yes, we are going to talk a little bit more about ranch, the ministry, and fostering, mentoring, and adopting, but we're also going to talk about internet fraud and how you can avoid it because it's running rampant in our society, and you don't want to be scammed. So we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Jeff Richardson.
A mission field around you is filled with young hearts needing a forever family. And at Second Chance Youth Ranch, our team is committed to providing healthy, stable, loving homes and families to hurting children in the Arkansas foster care system and those up for adoption. Please contact us if you feel the tug at your heart to help foster or adopt, and find out the steps you could take to help fulfill a child's lifelong dream. Maybe you can't foster or adopt, but you could help. The need for thousands of children in the system is staggering. But with the help of faithful partners and business alliances, we are meeting those needs right now. Would you help us make a difference? Every gift, regardless of size, impacts a child's life directly and helps provide for a home in the gap right now. Visit the Second Chance Youth Ranch website at 2CYR.org to read more, watch the stories, and to make a contribution for a hurting child's care. Monthly partners are needed, so please contact us right away. And as you partner with this ministry, you are partnering with the Heavenly Father that has promised to be Father to the fatherless. God bless you for helping Second Chance Youth Ranch.
Hey, welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. On this show, Jeff Richardson, who is a personal friend, a church member at Family Church Bryant, got a child at Arkansas Christian Academy right here on campus today, is also a branch manager, president. What are you?
Commercial loan officer, senior vice president, commercial loan officer.
At First Security Bank right here in the city of Benton in Saline County. And Jeff, we mentioned in the outset that you personally, you and your wife, your family are all active at the church.
Yes, sir.
And because of that, y'all have encountered and been involved with Second Chance Youth Ranch for a long, long time. And in this segment, though, we want to talk about internet fraud and how people can be aware of what it is, how it happens, how to avoid it, and what to do if you're ever a victim. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of different kinds of fraud out there. Primarily what we're seeing right now is internet-related fraud or even phone fraud from individuals, usually out of the country, trying to get information from where we're really seeing a big target is to the elderly. Individuals over 60s, kind of the way the FBI classifies that. And so I was asked if I would be willing to do some seminars for some church members at a couple different churches regarding that fraud and the different types of fraud and how to prevent it and what to do if you are a victim of fraud.
We have a group that meets here. We call it the Legacy Group. Most of them, there may be a couple of exceptions, they're over 60. Many of them are widows and widowers, and you did a seminar for us recently, and they really spoke very highly of that.
Well, I appreciate that. It was something that needed to be done. I think it needs to be done with everyone. That's why I'm glad we're doing this today.
Yeah, there's hardly a day that I don't get some sort of an email or a text, and it says something like, your account, your payment didn't go through,
right,
or your account needs to be updated. Is that the kind of stuff that people are getting, that they open and they go, okay, well, I need to get that fixed?
Yes, exactly. That's a lot of what you're seeing are internet just emails that will come in from someone that basically says something along the lines of, please click here to verify some information.
Yeah.
Your financial institution should not have to verify information from you, because your financial institution should have all of that information, because when you open the account or whatever you did with that institution, they should have all of that information. Now, they may ask you for the last 4 digits of your social security number to verify your identity, but they shouldn't ask you for your whole social security number, or they shouldn't ask you for things that would be personal things that they would not know about you from information that they had obtained when you opened an account or got a loan or something along those lines. And those links that you're clicking on will take you to a site that looks legitimate. It looks like something that is that institution, but a lot of times it takes you to a fraudulent site where they gather that information and then are going to use that for identity theft against you to either obtain credit of some type or use it in some fashion, maybe access something because of the information they got from you. They'll access something to actually cost you money.
Yeah, sometimes it'll look like it's from Social Security or the IRS, or you'll get a phone call and it'll be, we're at the court and you need to pay right now over the phone, that kind of stuff.
All those different types of frauds. And a lot of times it's easier to do it via email because there's no real connection there, but you are starting to see a more prevalence of the phone fraud where they'll call and say, there's a warrant out for your arrest. Would you please send money to this particular PayPal account or Venmo or something along those lines? Or a lot of times they'll say, if you'll go to Kroger and buy a gift card and then mail that gift card to this address. I mean, crazy things that a rational person would sit there and say, well, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I go get a gift card to send that to the police department? But the scammers out there are doing these things, and we're having victims it every day. We're seeing victims.
How about the one where someone's supposedly under arrest in a foreign country and they need grandma to send them some money to get them bailed out?
Yes, that's actually getting really bad right now because the new AI technology that we're seeing, what we're seeing is that criminals are actually using the AI technology to mimic the voices of the grandchildren. And the quote-unquote grandchild is calling the grandparents saying, hey, I'm in Mexico on this trip for college, or I've, senior trip from high school and I've been arrested, or I'm in the hospital, I need you to send money down here. And grandparents panic and think, oh my gosh, I've got to send this money down there, and they send money to some scammer when their grandchild is at home safe in their bed.
Or in the dorm.
Yes.
So what's the magnitude? What's the dollars amount that this is doing now?
So in 2022, there was $10.3 billion of complaints that were actually recorded by the FBI.
$10 billion.
$10 billion. Now, what you got to understand is that is actually complaints that were actually filed and registered. There's people out there that get scammed all the time for $300, $400, $500 and never say anything. Yeah. But there was 10.3 billion in losses, and that was over 800,000 complaints in 1 year in the United States. Well, so it's huge.
And some people get scammed, even a small amount, and they don't want to say anything because now they're embarrassed.
Yes.
How do you overcome that? What do they need to do?
Well, the first thing, what we're doing here today is education. If we can teach folks what to be looking out for, then hopefully we can prevent this from taking place, because yes, people do get embarrassed when they're scammed in some way. And so our hope is that we can teach folks that they won't ever get scammed, and then they can move forward. But if you are scammed, there's several things that we can talk about that you can do to actually file these complaints. And see if we can get the problem taken care of. But number one thing, more than anything else, just like anything, is education.
All right. So what would you say is the number one or number two or three things that they need to really be attentive so they're not scammed?
Number one, ask lots of questions. If something doesn't seem right, ask the questions of, well, why is this? Why are they asking me for this? What are we doing here? The second thing would be, if it's too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true, because a lot of these scams, that's what we see. It's these grand ideas of large quantities of money coming into you, but for us to give you that large quantity of money, you need to do something for us. You need to give us money back. Yeah. And that's a key scam point right there, and you see that a whole lot of times. Yeah. That's the biggest one that we see a lot of times is we'll give you money, you give some back to us, and then what happens is the check or whatever payment that they've provided is fraud, yeah. And then we end up having to take that money back from that customer, and they're out the money that they sent back to that individual.
Yeah, if it's too good to be true or a threat, what I found many years ago, and this is on the front end of all the technological stuff that we deal with now every day, can I just call you back in a few minutes? And they never give you a number to call back, because they're usually in a computer system where they're hypothetically in Nigeria, it goes through Europe, it bounces to America, and then to your phone. And
100%.
And if you say, can I call you back, they never want you to call them back. But we are going to call you back. We're going to take a brief break. We're going to watch a video about fostering, mentoring, and adopting, and then we'll be right back with Jeff Richardson right after this.
Tell me what you're going to do Saturday.
I'm go skating and do tricks.
How do you feel about that?
Not good. I might fall down. I'm Aaron, I'm 10.
And what do you like to do for fun, Aaron?
Football and basketball and soccer. I'll grow up, I want to be a basketball player.
What is your favorite subject in school?
Math and science. My favorite food is rice.
Gotta look at him.
You got some moves, man.
Make it go between your legs.
I want to be Spider-Man. I want to shoot webs.
Why do you want to shoot webs?
Because when I have villains, super villains, I can't wait to be adopted.
Why?
Because I want to go deer hunting, go duck hunting, and turkey hunting, go bowling, and play shooting. Is this too small?
No, you're the perfect size.
Watch me.
I'm watching. What kind of family do you want?
Mom and Dad and Grandma, and Papa. I want a dog and cat.
What do you want them to know about you, though?
I just want them to love on me. I just want to get adopted. I want to be Superman. I want to fly.
Welcome back to Second Chance Youth Ranch TV. I always say this when we come back, the Project Zero videos where you're actually able to see a child, hear their story, hear their heart, and with a Kleenex, always wipe your eyes, because the cry of our children in foster care is, I want somebody to love me. There was a song that I referred to Sunday at church. I believe it's the anthem of our generation. Does anybody know what love is? Won't somebody show me? Jesus showed us that on the cross. Right. And the reason we're talking about fraud and internet fraud and how to help those that are in their golden years avoid fraud is why I'm having you on the show, Jeff. Jeff's with First Security, and you do seminars on internet fraud, phone fraud, and how to avoid that. Yes, sir. Tell me, what are probably the two most prevalent ones that prey upon single folks, elderly people?
One of them that we see is what we call romance fraud. It's where someone will reach out, usually via Facebook or the internet, and start a relationship with an individual who, like you mentioned, is usually single and elderly, and promises of love and getting married and everything. But usually there's a catch of, I want to come see you, but I can't. I don't have enough money to get a plane ticket. Yeah. Can you buy me a plane ticket? And so then money goes to that individual for the plane ticket.
And do they often take some picture of, we'll just say it's a male who's doing the fraud. He'll take a picture of some other guy.
Oh, absolutely.
Post it, send it to that female, that older lady. Yes. Who's looking for love, yes. Looking for a partner in life.
Right. And they'll even do so much research as to go back and look at somebody's Facebook profile to see maybe what their husband or wife looked like, and will actually kind of mirror that, because it's that whole thought process of, well, that looks just like my husband.
Well, it's got to be true. It's got to be true, because I have his picture.
Right. Yeah. Well, you would think, but no.
I had a lady at work one time, and she was checking out some of the big tabloids. And I said, and I knew she was a Christian, and I said, why are you buying those? She's getting ready to go on her lunch break, and I said, why are you buying those? And she said, well, I enjoy reading them. And I said, that stuff is fake. Most of those stories are not even real. And she said, well, they couldn't print it if it wasn't real. And I said, well, Carol Burnett just won multiple millions of dollars suing that very tabloid. Right. She said, well, I don't care. I don't like Carol Burnett.
Denial.
So it is denial, and that's what these folks get trapped in, isn't it?
Yes, 100%. And they're just looking for, they're lonely. They're just looking for a companion, and somebody asks for that companionship, and then throw me some money, and then money starts to go out. And I mean, you see tens of thousands of dollars that individuals will send to someone, and a lot of times they're overseas. And they'll, I'm in England, I love you, and they have the British accent, and there's even sometimes phone conversations. Yeah. And this person will play off that they're, royalty or something along those lines, or part of the royal family, and just the whole idea.
Just the whole thing. And it creates an imaginary friend, and it's really sad. What's the second one besides romance?
The second one would probably be what we call legitimate services, and this was mentioned in one of the other segments, where you'll have an email or something from like the IRS or Medicaid or something, Medicare, something along those lines that looks like something is legitimate, but it ends up being a scam. Or you get something in the mail, but they're even mailing mailers to individuals now that are scam related things. And I always kind of joke, if the guy from Blue Bloods, Tom Selleck, if he's on there selling it, it's probably okay on television, but otherwise you probably shouldn't do it. Yeah.
Well, it's called phishing.
Yes.
I think it's phishing. Yes. It's phishing, where they're really phishing for information.
Correct.
Account numbers, anything like that they can use, or your social security number. Anyway, they might just want to steal your ID.
Correct.
So they're phishing for information, and it's really sad.
It's really sad, but there's ways that that you can prevent it, as we mentioned earlier, but then there's also things that you should do as that consumer if it happens to you.
So if someone's watching that has a civic group or maybe a group like we have the Legacy, or friends who have ministry to the widows, and they wanted a representative from the bank to come share these thoughts and get a little bit more into the detail, they could contact you at First Security Bank or something?
They can contact me at First Security Bank in Benton, but the main thing is get it reported.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, a lot of these things aren't reported. The only way that the crime can be fought is to report those, and so that's what you need to do. You need to pick up the phone and call the police, but you also need to immediately contact your financial institution. If your information has been taken or compromised in some way, the bank can quickly shut things down to help you with that part of it. But even taking it further than there, contact the FBI, contact the Attorney General's office. There's actually a website, which, we're sitting here talking about internet fraud, so you got to be careful where you go on the internet. But IC3, IC and the number 3.gov is actually the Internet Crime Complaint Center.
Yeah.
And that all goes straight to the FBI and the Attorney Generals, and they can begin investigating these crimes and trying to stop these. Unfortunately, a lot of it happens overseas, so it's hard to stop.
It's hard to stop because the perpetrator is in a foreign country. How does our local authorities do anything about that? It's complicated.
That's where knowledge comes in.
Yeah, absolutely. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge.
Yes.
Jeff, we only have a minute and a half left in this segment, and you're involved, very deeply involved at Family Church, Arkansas Christian Academy, but this show is all about fostering, mentoring, and adopting Second Chance Youth Ranch. So why should anybody really look at being involved in helping with foster care?
Well, me having the interaction that I do with some of the kids from the Second Chance Youth Ranch, it's been just rewarding to me being around these kids. And when you see, as I mentioned earlier, my daughter has had the privilege of friending a lot of these kids from the ranch, and just her relationship with them, seeing how much they appreciate just the love and care that they're getting through the foster care program at Second Chance Youth Ranch. They just want to be loved.
Yep.
That's more than anything else. And if there's somebody out there that can give these kids a loving family, that's what they need. We had
a little one just last week, brand new to our homes, and we create a family environment. And they came to us on a Tuesday. Their mother died on a Saturday. And a little girl looked up, another one of our children looked up at her foster mother and said, "I just love this place. Can I live here forever and just have Mommy come visit us here?" Right. So that's the kind of ministry that we have in foster care all across the state, and we want you to be involved. We don't want you just to watch the show. We want you to get involved and engaged by supporting, volunteering, mentoring, considering fostering, having a child live in your home, or come and live in one of our homes. So continue to watch us. Contact us right here at 2CYR-TV or secondchanceyouthranch.org, and we'll see you next week right here on BTN. Bye-bye.